Okay, welcome to the Metflex and Chill podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Gregory, and I'm here with two amazing people, Maura and Danny Vega. How are you guys doing today?
What's up?
What's up? We're doing great. We're happy to be your first guest.
I'm so excited you're here. So I just want to get like a little background on you guys, kind of how you, if our listeners don't know, you are the ultimate fat-fueled family. So I just kind of want to give a little background of your story, kind of how you became the fat-fueled family and a little bit of your journey to where you guys are now.
Okay, she wants me to go first. So I am Danny Vega. I'm Maura's husband, Rachel Gregory's friend, and we have the Fat Fueled Family podcast. I'm a lifelong athlete. I played college football. I was a college strength and conditioning coach, and I love the ketogenic diet. I love low carb diets in general, paleo diet. My main focus is mainly performance and building muscle, but our other passion is, family nutrition and how to, eat and do fitness with the family.
Awesome.
Awesome. So I have a dance background and my nutrition, wasn't really great growing up. Plant-based was being pushed. I was a ballet dancer growing up, so I had a lot of restriction that I would do. And I'm happy to say that I've now found a way to never suffer again. And we have a passion for sharing that with others, especially since that's not what, is going on right now in the world. And so we feel like it's our duty to just let other people know that there's another way. And we feel really passionately as well about kids and kids nutrition. So we definitely make a huge effort to include our children and, raise them so that they don't have to suffer either. And they have the tools to, the bottom line, like what I like to say is that my kids are going to know what they can do whatever they want when they leave my house. But if they do get sick or something ever does happen, their knee jerk is never going to be a pill or a medicine. It's always going to be coming from within, and they're always going to assess their diet first. So that's our goal.
I love that. You guys are doing an amazing job at spreading that word, I think. And I feel like that's like one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle that's missing in our society is like teaching and raising kids to, obviously this podcast is called Metflex and Chill. So to be as metabolically flexible as possible. And I feel like 90 something % of American children are so metabolically inflexible, which is just causing all of the issues that we're seeing today with childhood obesity and just all of the issues. So kind of tell me about how, like, obviously, what do you guys think about the concept of metabolic flexibility and raising your kids to be as metabolically flexible as possible? Because I know that you implement, like, not strict keto with them, but you're just kind of talk about what you do like on a daily basis to kind of push that forward and teach them about that.
I can go.
Yeah.
So, before we ever were in the keto space, we were paleo first, and we're very thankful for that because we didn't get sucked into like the keto junk or like carb fear and protein fear, things like that, that we see a lot in the community. And so with our children, especially because we do have them home, we also homeschool. So we're also, they're a little bit more flexible in that sense because their activity levels are just never going to compare because they're right now, those kids are sitting in school and my kids have been outside playing, and just, they haven't even sat down. So because of that, they are a little bit more flexible to begin with. And so we definitely talk a lot about, how food makes us feel, what it takes to build muscles. Like, we just teach them the science part too, which is fun for us. It's fun for them. How do we build a plate? Let's pick our protein, putting it in their hands and giving them that, empowering them with the information so that they can make choices. We also let them make mistakes. I think that's also very important. In our house, this is just how we eat as a family. And so, I get so many messages sometimes, and it's funny because I actually had a lady today and I kind of gave it to her how it was yesterday. And she was super thankful. She was like, can we be neighbors? Like I needed that gut punch, because she told me something about how all her kid wants to eat is bread. And I go, well, my kid can want bread all they want. Go look for it. Like, why do you have bread in your house? I'm so confused. Like, I don't, got to take that stuff out of the house. We're the parents, and, the whole, let them be kids and stuff. Like, this is why we have obese adults as well. The adults are not doing very good either. Everywhere we go, we're like, people like stare at us, because it's just, we're out of place, so. And why does that happen? That's because we didn't teach them as children. So we're trying to change that, just give them the tools, and they do have some more flexibility. So like, they know like carbohydrates and sugar, like if they're asking me for a snack of if an apple, and they just had like a bar or something, I ask them, I'm like, well, are you hungry? Is that going to make you full? Or, are these the foods that are going to make you full? Because if you're really hungry, we should eat something that's going to make you full. We also have a few rules. Like we stole this one from Ali Miller, which I love: no naked carbs. So we don't just give them carbs with, without a protein or a fat. And we also never start our day with sugar. We never, ever, ever start our day with sugar. Like they ask me all the time, can I have an orange? I'm like, after you may, yes, after you eat your eggs and bacon, And so we also talk a lot to them about making, good choices and timing those carbs around their activity as well, because that's when we can better utilize it, especially for them, since they are fat adapted. I mean, for them, they basically have it's like the upper hand, because they're better able to even utilize those carbs, unlike their friends who I can't even start to talk about the amount of sugar that these kids eat. The parents should, I'm going to have a few challenges soon for parents.
Yeah, she has a really interesting challenge that she's going to do.
Yeah. Like enter it in MyFitnessPal, you eat what they ate. You know what I mean? Because it's just, we see it a lot because we're around kids so much, and, we go to jujitsu, we go to these parties, we're always around kids. And it's just it's not okay. I don't even know how else to say it. It's not okay.
And interestingly, at jujitsu, the kids, they swarm around me. They start grabbing my arms and telling me, how did I get my muscles? And, half of them are starving. That's what Maura's talking about. Half of these kids are starving.
It's 5 p.m. when we get
these
there.
Poor kids, they have, a lot of them are doing 2 classes. They'll do a jujitsu class, and then they'll do a striking class. And all they have in them is gummy bears and Doritos,
and chips,
And we just tell them that we had chicken skewers the other day, and they didn't know what it was.
They didn't even know what it was.
They said, "What's that?"
They go, "What's that?"
And then we said, "That's chicken." And they said, "Well, I've never seen chicken like that." And we asked them, Maura asked them, what do you usually? And they're like, "Well, nuggets." That's the only way they even know chicken exists. And so
that's probably the only protein they eat, really.
Yeah, chicken nuggets, which is, usually it's not going to be gluten-free. It's going to be breaded, and it's not going to be, it's going to be half bread and half chicken. So, on the metabolic flexibility topic, our boys understand, I think they have a good understanding that carbs can be used for performance. So sometimes Desmond, asks me, can I have some dates before jujitsu? And, I'm definitely allowing him more of that because, number one, he's so shredded.
He's
today, this morning after he took a shower, he came out, I was like, dude, you're freaking shredded, and we also, it's kind of bulking season now. So we do the Evolve meals. We know that you also do the Evolve meals, and we are getting a lot of the paleo options. So they're getting sweet potatoes, they're getting some of these other starches and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's real food. We don't see cravings. We don't see any type of blood sugar roller coaster, because they're eating, they may be eating a starch, but they're having it with a good protein and fats. So in general, these kids, I think, will be able to switch between energy systems and use the partition fuel properly, because their metabolisms have never been wrecked. And I think for anybody who's had kids and have already seen these issues, don't worry. They'll bounce back pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You just got to get them on the path.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that just the education piece of it, and just growing up in a household that you are just so hyper aware of these things and educated in the way that you guys are doing this, it's like you're just setting them up for such success, down the line. And I kind of think back to my childhood, and my parents thought that they were pretty health conscious and were doing the best they could. But we've talked about this before. Like my dad would eat cereal for breakfast every morning. We'd have like the healthy cereal, so like the
Heart
honey
healthy.
bunches of oats
I love.
versus
Yeah, I used
the
to eat all those. Yeah.
versus the fruity pebbles, right? And that was considered healthy, or the honey nut Cheerios with the skim milk. And like we had Gatorade in the house all the time. We couldn't have soda, but we had Gatorade,
Gatorade, right?
right? Because Gatorade was a sports drink. It was healthy.
Right.
And it's like I was just so unaware of this until I
Yeah.
learned it myself. And I just think it's so cool that you're teaching them at such a young age, because it is really like the nurturing and the environment that you're in. That's what will, dictate what you do long term. So
Yeah.
I just think it's awesome. But I think that our biggest issue on a bigger scale is getting other parents to understand this and teach their
Right.
kids, and especially in schools. Like I think I saw I was reading an article last week, or someone sent something last week about the school lunches and how it's like literally turning vegan, which
Yeah.
I don't have anything against vegan. I don't personally think that it's the best
I
way.
do. I do for kids.
For
I
kids,
yeah.
100% have a lot against it for children
Yeah.
specifically. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure, because it's just like, how do you get adequate protein with that,
Yeah.
and like
You don't.
bioavailable protein to grow? So yeah, I think that is just something that I don't know. It's sad, really. It's just sad. Um, but yeah, you guys are doing an awesome job with getting the message out, and I love that. Obviously, you have your own podcast, Fat Fueled Family, and I think that's just amazing. And I'm like, I just hope that every parent in the world starts to catch on and listen to you
Yeah.
guys.
That's what we can hope for.
So I want to chat a little bit about kind of moving direction into kind of carnivore, because I know you guys started, like you said, you started your pretty much paleo. This is kind of how I transitioned to keto as well. Like I was paleo first, then I found keto. And you guys kind of were paleo first, found keto, and then transitioned to more of a carnivore approach. So kind of tell me a little bit about like what made you kind of want to transition or become aware of carnivore.
Well, Danny kind of stumbled on it first, so I'll let him answer.
Yeah, I just like, when I was doing a ketogenic diet, I'll say the first thing that I thought was kind of cool was that that was the first time in my life that I actually started to tolerate, eating salads and eating vegetables and stuff. Like before, I was like, I always hated that. But when I started a ketogenic diet, because of the overwhelming focus on health, which I absolutely love about keto and more with paleo, I was trying to just cover all my bases. And then here comes Amber O'Hearn, who had at the time already been following a carnivore diet for 9 or 10 years back in 2017. I heard a podcast with her and Brian Williamson, and then I heard the Georgia Eid podcast. And in August of 2017, I was like, I'm going to try this out. And all I did that month was I ate anything that came from a cow and salmon. And, 4 or 5 days into it, Maura and I had a trip. And just like with keto, she started 3 days after I started. We were going to Puerto Rico, and Maura was dieting at the time. She was on a ketogenic cut, and she started to have, I don't want to steal your thunder. So I'll let her talk about her part.
Well, go ahead, finish up.
Yeah. So I started in August of 2017. I was already really lean at the time. I had just finished a cut myself. And
is that when you did the meat and salmon thing?
Yeah.
Wasn't that?
That was August of 2017. We called it August Surf and Turf.
Remember? Oh, so you were already doing it when we went to Puerto Rico?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I forgot about that part.
Yeah, but it had only been like 4 or 5 days or a week, And so, I just found that number one, interestingly, I was really that season, I was competing in rowing, and my rowing times were the best they ever been. The other thing I found was that those carbs that I subtracted from my diet, which was probably like 20, was way less than the protein I was able to add. So, I didn't just add equal amount of protein. I added like 50, 60 grams more, and I started to tolerate more protein, and I started to feel better with higher protein. And I found that protein was so much more satiating than fat. And, I remember there were times when I would have 800 calorie coffees, like 700-800 calories, and it was just,
yeah, you're still starving.
Yeah. And I didn't, and then you can eat a ribeye that's, probably the same amount of calories, and, you just feel so much better. And then the other thing that I found off the bat was, wow, my cravings were gone. Like keto was pretty good at that. But, I always told people that the difference between keto and carnivore, in my experience, was greater than the difference between my old standard American diet, if it fits your macros, and keto. So carnivore for me has meant just better control of my hunger, the ability to eat more meat, which I love. Barbecue was always my favorite. I just started taking away the barbecue sauces and stuff. But Maura's experience was a little bit different, because she had, some serious things that she experienced.
What's going on? Yeah. So for me, keto was really great. Keto helped me tremendously, because right before I started keto, I was coming from the if it fits your macros life, which is just painful at best, because, you're basically starving all week. You cheat on the weekend, and you feel like crap until Wednesday, and then you kind of feel okay on Friday, and then you start all over. And that's just like a vicious cycle that we were doing for a few weeks there. And I had been struggling with postpartum depression up until that point. So Dean was around 2 years old? Or he was older already, because
almost 3.
Oh no, I started keto when he was 2. Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Right after his second birthday. And so keto was great. Keto really, really helped me get off the meds. It really eased the symptoms, but I still had a lot of ups and downs. So I would feel really great, and then have periods where I would feel kind of crappy. And then I still would have anxiety, and stuff like that. So, but it was much better. So it was to the point that it wasn't when it would happen, it would suck, but then I would have a lot of really good time as well with keto. And then I was doing that cut with Keto Savage, and my calories were getting low. So I was trying to, just bulk my meals up with big salads. And I wasn't really eating salads before then, for no other reason besides, how it is. The stuff goes bad. If you don't eat it all in one day, it's it goes bad. So just salads on a day-to-day are not convenient for me. If I'm not going to eat it all.
Unless you want to go to the supermarket every day.
Right. So that's just no other reason. But we had started to just eat a bunch of big salads. And I found myself in the middle of the night, just getting up at it would wake, the feeling of nausea, I had to throw up. It would wake me up in the middle of the night randomly. It took me a while to even put 2 and 2 together. It would just happen randomly. I would throw up, and then I would feel fine. It's just that feeling your body's just oh, no. And then it comes out and you feel fine. And I would go to sleep, but still annoying to wake up, still not pleasant. So, around that time we went to Puerto Rico, I kind of the night before we left, I had another salad and I threw up again. And I'm I tell Danny, I'm I think it's these salads. I think it's these salads.
Yeah, there wasn't the same salad that we bought. It had been, different batches of.
Right. So, it was a few times over weeks, and then Danny's well, we're going to be on the plane. Let me send you these podcasts. You got to hear this Dr. Georgia Ede and this Amber O'Hearn podcast. And when I heard it, it all made sense to me. With Dr. Georgia, what was really interesting to me though, was when Dr. Georgia Ede and Amber O'Hearn started talking about the mental health benefits of the carnivore diet. And I'm oh, well, that would be great. If I could be a little bit more sane, that would be awesome. And so, but really it was the GI stuff that got me to try it. So I was you know what? I'm going to be in Puerto Rico for 3 days. I'm going to let's just try it out for the next 3 days. I'm going to just eat meat, and eating out and everything. So I was probably still having vegetable oils and stuff, but I wasn't having vegetables, which vegetable oil is not really vegetables. It's soybean or I don't even know what Frankenstein else, and well, I think the next day, not that it matters, the weight is whatever, but I had dropped a few pounds that next day, and I never really threw up again, but also I wasn't bloated, because I was just bloated all the time, especially when I would eat those salads. And I just noticed that I had no GI anything. It's when you drink water, how sometimes you eat something and you just feel a bubble or something.
Except for the diarrhea. We can't.
Right. But that didn't happen to me right away, honestly. That didn't happen to me the first time right away. It took a minute.
Yeah.
And then it came, and then
it lasted like 3 to 4 weeks for both of us.
Right. And yeah, that can happen with the carnivore diet, which is kind of funny because people usually expect the opposite. So they're like, are you constipated? And it does happen to some people for sure. But I feel like for the most part, most people experience the opposite. I know Joe Rogan did, and his spiel on that was epic. If you want to go look at that, I mean, it was like a award winning. But
yeah, so, didn't he say like that he was something about Uber diarrhea? Like
yeah, I don't even know. It was like a really long, like it was artistic.
It was like 9 days.
He went into it. Yeah, he describing the diarrhea. But yeah. So I mean, I had a little bit of GI distress, and then. As my body got used to like not having fiber and my colon realized that it has to do the job. I mean, I felt great, but then, life goes on. You don't really notice things. And I think about like 3 to 4 weeks in, I just felt, I don't know, Rachel, like maybe what happy people feel like. I've only experienced that with carnivore, so it was just a feeling of peace and calm. And like, I was trying to think of the last time, like I had like anxiety or like, kind of a really bad day. And I was like, wow, I think this is really like helping me with my mood. Like, this is really, really awesome. So I've stuck with it. Of course, every now and again, I have stuff, I'll eat like Evolve meals are so good. I'll like eat that cauliflower rice. But, I've been able now, I'm pretty much carnivore most of the time. I do utilize carbs for my cycle because I'm super lean. And to manage stress, I've noticed it does help me. So around my cycle, I will do something that I know I'm not sensitive to. So like banana, some squash, our favorite kaboka squash. That's like, I could eat that like every day. So stuff like that. But, I really just felt amazing with carnivore. I did have an MRT food sensitivity test. So that kind of helped me for when I do want something different, because I do kind of get bored of it sometimes where I just need something different. At least now I know like which vegetables and which foods I can go for, so that really helped me out as well. But those are the main benefits.
Yeah, for sure. And for the MRT, just if people don't know, can you explain? Because I do have like, for example, clients that come to me, they've gotten some food tests done and we know that there's some like discrepancies between them. So why is MRT the gold standard for?
Okay, so I'm pretty sure it stands for mediated. I don't remember what really patent. I forget what it. Can you look it up really quick? I'll just put NowLeap MRT. But I'll explain how it works because I asked Ali this as well. And so what happens with so when you go to an allergist, like an actual allergist, and they're testing for allergies, they're testing for the anaphylactic shock response. This is like the life or death response. So these are severe peanut allergies. A food sensitivity, like what I'm experiencing, is not going to show up on that. So, okay, yeah, mediator release blood tests. Okay, that's what I thought. That's what MRT stands for. It is patented and it's gold standard. And the reason that this works, well, let me go back. So that's what happens when you go to the allergist. Now, the ones that you're seeing online, these like food sensitivity tests that you see ads for, those test IgG. And what I learned from Ali Miller was that the problem with these is they could give a lot of false positives. So if you've been eating a lot of almonds, for example, it's kind of just your body saying like, hey, what's up? I see you, but it's not as accurate. And so you don't want that because as it is, it's annoying to have to cut things out of your diet. So you don't want to cut more than you have to. If that's hard for you, especially. So what happens with MRT, they draw your blood, and what they do is they test your blood against, over 200 foods. You could level up. There's several different levels, you just pay more if you want more foods. And they test the actual inflammatory compound release. So it's testing actual inflammation. So what do they call it? I don't like the science, like cytokines.
Oh, like inflammatory cytokines.
Like inflammatory cytokines. That's what it's testing. So it's actually testing for inflammation. And I mean, that more than anything, I mean, carnivore is amazing. Like it is amazing over time. It just gets better and better. There's so many benefits, like your skin, like there's a lot of benefits, but MRT is also a really great option if you don't think you can stick with carnivore or something and you have symptoms. Cause now that I've had my test results and I've like experimented with those foods, I like different foods give me different reactions, and it's so crazy. Like these are like, for example, leading up to getting my results, like, you get your blood drawn, it takes like a week. that week leading up to the results, I had like, like that headache that
I
you're
was
just
traveling.
like, the headache doesn't go away. You're just like, I have a headache for like 4 days. Like, I don't know, like just that dull headache. Eating my deli turkey meat, right?
Yeah, because I was traveling, so I wasn't cooking for her. So she was
so when
keeping
Danny
it
travels,
simple.
I eat like trash. Yeah. I'm like, can you come back so I can have an actual
Deli
steak?
meat.
Yeah. I'll just do like burgers, like ground beef, but like I won't do a steak. And so my friend texts me my results as I'm like literally sticking another piece of turkey in my mouth, and it said turkey. And I was like, oh my goodness. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I'm like, I can't believe this thing. This is what's giving me a headache, like 100%. So yeah, I've noticed, because sometimes I do eat the foods, because some of my sensitive foods are foods that I love and are really hard to avoid. For example, onion. Like, how do you avoid onion? Like, you can't even eat out basically, because it's in every seasoning, onion powder. That one's not so bad at first. So like with onion, for example, it's like over time. You know what I mean?
What is the symptom?
I don't know. I kind of just feel crappy. Like, I don't feel happy, and like, it's more of like my mood, maybe. Like if I'm just like eating the vegetables over time.
Let me say something.
For tomatoes, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, it's amazing that she can feel the exact symptoms because she's so clean, and so she can tell you like, this one gives me a headache, this one gives me GI.
Well, to do that, you have to like kind of like what you do is like, I did like 30 days without, like, really strict. Like, we wouldn't even eat out.
No
if
yellows.
Danny was seasoning something, I'm like, don't use something that has onion.
Our own rubs.
I'm like so that I could get clean basically. And that really made me feel amazing. Like, I had a moment one time in the car when I was staying away from all my sensitive foods, where I was just like, wow, I have like nothing. Like, when you just feel nothing, like no pain, I feel good, I have energy, like I actually feel like I'm like thriving, And then little by little, I would test each individual food to see like what would happen. Tomatoes, it's GI right away. Like, my stomach is killing me. I'm also sensitive to maple. I'm basically sensitive to the entire holiday of Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving is always Steaksgiving for me, because it's, imagine this, like turkey, maple, pumpkin, carrots. That's like the important ones. Vanilla is kind of hard to avoid as well. Vanilla is another one. My red foods are wheat, amaranth, which is basically quinoa, and pear, which is super weird. But this is why it's important, because even a health food for some can cause an issue, like turkey. I would have never thought turkey, or I have tilapia also is another thing on mine, tuna. And those foods will give me headaches. It's crazy. So yeah, it's really interesting stuff. Now, it is a little bit pricey, but I think it's worth it if you have symptoms.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for me personally, like I did carnivore for that month, and I definitely noticed GI stuff just was completely gone.
Yeah.
For me, I freaking love vegetables.
You love your foods.
And like squash and things like that. But I have definitely, like, I used to eat salads like pretty much every day.
Yeah.
And I like rarely have salads anymore. I just have like my meat and my veggies. I will like a good like big ass salad, if I
miss the salads. I miss the salads. And and by the way, lettuce came out on my test. Lettuce, which made sense, because I was like,
she never salads. Liked it. She always was like, it's true. Well, actually, no, I like lettuce. You liked romaine, yeah.
I like the crunchy lettuces. I don't like the
soft stuff.
Yeah, like the spinach and stuff like that. Yeah. I do miss the crunch though sometimes.
But she can have
I'll do bok choy if I'm craving like a salad like that. I'll do bok choy because I like the crunchy, like watery.
And bonus, bok choy is low or no oxalate, so that's something you got to be aware of with things like spinach. I mean, a lot of keto foods have oxalates, like the nuts, almond flour, almonds, avocado, blueberries.
The avocado thing makes me sad.
Yeah, that's why I think like carnivore in itself is just probably the ultimate elimination diet to like start with. So you kind of start with that. Like if I'm ever noticing anything like with myself or like with my clients where they're just they can't, shake something, it's like, okay, maybe let's try carnivore for a little bit. Like for example, one of my clients just recently, she had so much trouble sleeping, like just for months straight. We couldn't figure it out. She was just like, she couldn't sleep. Her sleep was horrible. She'd waking up in the middle of the night, things like that. And the first thing we did was we actually cut out dairy for a week, and she noticed a significant relief in that. And then we did a carnivore challenge with my MetFlex tribe group, and she was like, in her like tracker, because we track all biofeedback, her sleep, you know, how she's feeling, her cravings, all of that. She was like, I've never slept so well in my entire life.
Wow.
And she has Hashimoto's, so she has been struggling with autoimmune stuff. And so for that type of person, and she
Yeah.
also is not very like, very, you know, active or anything, like she's active, but she's not, you know, going to the gym every day, working out and stuff. And obviously there's nothing wrong with that. As
Yeah.
we can
Right.
see, you can still build muscle and look amazing on a carnivore diet. But yeah, it's just like things like that are just really, really cool. So I do want to talk a little bit about, like Maura, you mentioned you implement carbs at
Hmm.
strategic times throughout your cycle. So kind of tell me about how and why you guys started to incorporate carbs again, and kind of give me. I mean, Maura, you talked a little bit about it, but you maybe Danny, tell me like what you've noticed with that and why, or even like what prompted the introduction of carbs again, because I don't remember exactly when you started implementing again, but was there something that like prompted it or?
Yeah. So for me, it was a process. It started in 2018. Yeah, 2018. I started to see like, okay, what would happen if I did like 50 grams of post workout carbs? I had to like slowly dip into it because even me of all people, I was starting to get this carb phobia, and I was like, and that in and of itself is kind of weird because people forget that this 75 20% protein, 75% fat, 5% carbs, 20% protein, that's a really good rule of thumb. But it's also a lot of the time for people who have diabetes, people who have neurological conditions, or even higher fat. And an athlete can remain in ketosis and benefit from ketosis and be higher at higher levels. Our friend Jordan Joy has done a lot of research on this, upper limits of carbs for ketogenic athletes who are healthy. And, I could probably eat 100 carbs every single day and be in ketosis, especially because I intermittent fast. But even then, I did that where I was doing post-workout carbs, 50 grams. I would get cravings the rest of the day. I found that um, I was probably getting more metabolically inflexible. I was getting those issues of, that glucose intolerance that Dr. Bickman talks about. And then,
Can you
you
talk
know,
a
I,
little bit about that?
yeah.
Just
So one of the things that people say is physiological insulin resistance, which ever since we had Dr. Bickman on, he was like, I just don't like that term because we're not insulin resistant. We're just our pancreases are not really pumping out lots of insulin, and we're just, you use it or lose it type of thing.
mhm.
Like the same thing is if you don't use your muscles, your motor units are going to stop firing and you're going to have less active motor units, innervating muscle fibers. Um, so because of that, over time, people lose the ability to use carbs as fuel. And if you're an athlete, I think that's not a good thing.
Mhm.
We can use fat at a higher percentage of our VO2 max. We know that from the faster study, and we know a lot of people are sparing glycogen and doing that. But how many people are keeping track of how often they're going to those intensities? And after a certain point, no matter what, fat is the ability for you to create sugar out of fat is going to start slowing down and not being able to keep up with your energy needs if you continue to do that. And that's a
Hmm.
stressor. And so January of 2019, I did this paleo experiment where I was doing 3 days a week of 150 grams of carbs. And literally the first week, my blood sugar was all over the place. And then I found that my blood sugar, fasted blood sugar and postprandial numbers, everything was actually lower after that little carb experiment. And then fast forward to this summer, I was doing carb ups every week, where I was doing like body weight in carbs. And then after that, I didn't really do it from August until this year. I just did a carb up last Saturday and I felt awesome. And I actually pushed it to 300 carbs this time. and I woke up in ketosis the next day. I had 0.6 millimoles.
When you were doing them once a week, didn't you say like you felt like over time you were getting inflammation?
Yeah, that's definitely something that I noticed, is that like my inflammation was building up quicker than it would subside. And so every single week I did that. I found that my left shoulder got a little bit more, just achy and stuff.
Yeah.
And, it could also have been the training, because I was pushing it hard with the hypertrophy stuff, but also I think the carbs might have played a role.
Is this when you were just doing it, you were doing carb ups once a week and you noticed that?
Yeah, just once a week. I was having Superstarch every day pre-workout, which Superstarch to me is not something that's probably going to add to my inflammation, unless I were to do an MRT food sensitivity panel and find that I was sensitive to corn or something.
Possible.
Which it's always possible.
Most people are, actually.
I just don't know. I always felt good. Even when we were paleo, we would have like corn tortilla tacos, and we would love it. So I'm not sure. I can't comment on that, but I know that, maybe the carbs, did add to that low level inflammation. But what I found every single time I do these experiments, I learn from them. So now I just I think maybe even twice a month would be good, just because the stress part is really important. That's something that's
probably what I average.
Yeah, like twice a month. Yeah. Yeah, because she'll do it like maybe 2 days after ovulation, and then she'll do it like the first 2 days of her cycle.
Yeah. So the reason that you could finish up the
No, you could do it. I'll talk about it after.
So, the reason that I considered it at first was because of my cycle. So even with keto and with carnivore, just being low carb over time, my cycle would get very short. So I have a really regular cycle. Like I'm 28 days on the dot, no matter what. Doesn't matter. Even when I was like destroying my body in my 20s, I would still get my period 28 days. And so it was coming like 24, which, that's like every 3 weeks, that's just like, you don't get a break.
Like 1 week, one good week a month.
So, and who knows, like we still don't know if that matters or if that's healthy, but it's just like, for me, it was inconvenient. So Allie told, she had an episode about this, something about leptin. I don't know.
Leptin depletion.
Yeah. Leptin depletion. And she talked about that, especially for women that are lean, especially for us. So I tried it. She recommended, and remember, like I'm mostly carnivore. So a carb up is like, for me, is like what most people eat on their keto diet every day. Do you know what I mean? So it's 50. Like 30 to 50 tops. And I mean, it worked right away. So the first time I tried the carb up, which the most important one for me is going to be that post ovulation one. So like day 19 or 20 or both, sometimes both of those days. I'll do like 30 to 50 grams, at dinner or like after, and have something after, maybe so like a banana after, or I'll do like squash or honey, whatever, yogurt, whatever. I add up the carbs. And right away my cycle went back. So I sometimes forget, and my cycle will start to get short too. And so on day 1 and 2 of my cycle, it just depends how I feel. Like sometimes I'm feeling it, and when I do, I'll go for it. And then if I'm not, I'm like okay with it. But another reason that I was introducing carbs as well was also because for the gym, because I did notice, like I am a gym rat. So I am one of those people that can lift. I can easily stay in the gym lifting for 3 hours. Like, same. I'm like, am I done still already? Like I just love being there. It's fun for me. And so, yeah, I was noticing that like after about my first 2 exercises, I would go really hard and I hit a wall. Like I just hit a wall. HIIT was impossible. And even just the lifting, like it just felt like dragging. And so Danny did recommend, I'm probably going to start experimenting with UCAN again. I'm just the type of person that it's hard for me to like remember, honestly. Like I'm like, forgot the carb. I would forget the carb up. Ask Danny. I wanted to start doing the weekly carb ups with him, and I would forget. I forgot like through 2 weeks in a row. I was like, I forgot, because it's just like out of the schedule, so it's just something that I wasn't used to doing. So, but I want to start experimenting with UCAN a little bit for my workouts, because I think that it'll help.
Do the challenge.
And I'm not sensitive to corn, because I have my test. So yeah, I might do the challenge. I got to see what it's all about.
Yeah. So that's like one of the things that I personally struggle with too, with being keto. Like we've been keto for like years now, or, practiced a low carb lifestyle. And I got to the point where, like a lot of people, I feel like you start off we were in that fat phobic era, right? You're just so scared of fat. And that's even how I was going into keto. I was just like, I kind of went into it the wrong way when I started experimenting, because I would just still be low fat, and then I added the fat, felt better, and then I stopped being fat phobic and transitioned to becoming very, very carb phobic. And so that is kind of something that I see a lot of women especially struggling with, and a lot of women that I work with. It's like literally they're scared to eat a sweet potato or a bite of a sweet potato. And it's like, I went through that too. And when I kind of freed myself from that, it just completely changed the game. And when I started to understand, this concept of being more metabolically flexible and using dual fuel, and like being able to tap into fat and ketones when I need them, which is, at rest, or, mental focus, and just being able to get into ketosis seamlessly, right? Because I'm fat adapted. It's been a while. But then also using carbs for, certain hormonal things and exercise and things like that. So that's really like why my kind of mission is to teach people that this whole concept of, getting your body to be as metabolically flexible as possible should in itself be kind of the end goal, because we don't want to be so inflexible that we can't use carbs when we need to for exercise or whatever it may be. But we also don't want to be so inflexible that we can't use fat and ketones and things like that. And so it's kind of like bridging this gap and kind of, talking about that dual fuel concept. So that's really what I've been focused on lately. And it's been so freeing to be able to work with women, and, when they went keto and they found such success, and then they kind of hit this plateau, or they just hit this stopping point, and they have no idea how to incorporate carbs into their lifestyle again. And so when they do, and it's obviously, we're talking real food, right? Like real food carbs. It's just like the change is just absolutely amazing. But it also comes back to the individual as well. So there's some women I work with who, like, they have more of the mental kind of eating disorder issues that are going on. And it's like any type of carb can cause massive cravings and lead to binge eating and things like that. So I think it's also very, very individualized. And it's like, you have to, like you said, Danny, you do these experiments and you learn from it every single time. Like this saying, I don't know if this saying is like new or not, but I keep hearing people say it's like, you don't know what you don't know, right?
It's true. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So it's
like,
knock it unless you try it. It's the same idea.
Exactly. So I think that, everybody is their own individual. They need to, experiment and try it and see, okay, this worked for me, or no, this didn't work for me. And also doing it for more than just like a day or two, it takes time to really see and implement. So, I just think that's super important. Dane, I know you wanted to say something else.
Yeah, just real quick on the stress part, that's something that I've been focusing on a lot on, because, I'll give a perfect example. Keto Muscle Intelligence Facebook group this morning. There's a guy who was doing the vertical diet. He switched to keto, and right off the bat, he's doing 20 hours of fasting, and he's doing, he was only eating like 1,900 calories, and he weighs 200 pounds. And, so you got calorie restriction, you got fasting, you've cut the carbs. All of these things are stressors. And, people are trying to add muscle, they're trying to burn fat, and they're not realizing that, especially cortisol, elevated cortisol, you got stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. When you get to stage 3, you're bottomed out, you're cracked out, your cortisol's got crashed cortisol.
That's me. Well, not anymore.
Yeah,
thankfully, but
anymore.
That was me. Yeah. It feels really bad.
Yeah. And elevated cortisol, it changes the way you partition fuel. You start to trigger gluconeogenesis. And so, another example, my uncle, triathlete, fasted training, eats a carnivore diet, and, has an A1C of 5.7. And it's because of the way he was training. He was training in zone 4 a lot of the time. And, when you start training in the glycolytic pathway and you don't have anything to give to yourself, you're going to elevate cortisol. And it's nice to know that, you know, you can easily get a nice little insulin spike from a carb, and that'll bring down cortisol right away.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I try to teach people how to train the right way if they want to stay in a fat burning state, but also it might be worth it. I mean, in my opinion, it's worth it to be able to tap into those different training intensities and to be able to train harder, and use some carbs, and then be able to modulate cortisol and serotonin, and just have everything in check, because that also affects you at night. Like when you have elevated cortisol at night, you're going to be hungry. You're going to have cravings. You're not going to get restorative sleep. So all of these things, you know, I'm not inventing this. I'm just talking about physiology. You know, it's just, you know, some people are affected more than others. I'm affected more than some, probably because of my genetics. You know, I tend to cramp more. I tend to have, even if I'm a generally happy guy, but I'll be more reactive. I'll also just physically feel more stressed. Like I'll physically feel like, wow, I'm happy right now, but everything is like, you know, whoa, what was that? You know, like, so that lets me know that I could use some carbs, and every time I have the carbs, because I'm not having Pop-Tarts and I'm not having, you know,
like
anything crappy. Yeah. We're having, you know, we're going to get some organic, you know, produce that's in season, and we're having that, and we're feeling great.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I agree completely. I think that carbs are, you know, they're a tool, right? We use them as a tool. And I think that it's just like the education behind it. And so I think, especially with social media nowadays, it's like you see, like yesterday, there was someone posted about using keto for CrossFit. You saw that, right?
Oh
Or
my
the other
gosh,
day.
the comments. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a lot of the comments, I was just reading through them, I was like, but we're not talking, well, first of all, we're not talking about elite CrossFit athletes here. Like,
Yeah.
you walk into a CrossFit box, 95% of the people in that CrossFit box are probably a little overweight. They're not looking to go to, you
The
know,
games.
regionals or the games or anything like that. Like, that is not your CrossFit population for the average America, really.
Right.
And then it's also just thinking about this, like they're thinking about such the surface level, like, okay, yes, you need carbs for glycolytic activity, CrossFit, but CrossFit is also very aerobic as well. Like the
Yeah.
longer workouts, you have to be able to, if you can tap into your fat stores and use those for fuel and
Mm-hmm.
recovery and all of that, you can, you know, use your carbs for the more intense. And it's just like people also are not kind of educated on the, like you said, the physiology part of things and the energy systems, and the fact that it's, yes, you have your aerobic and your anaerobic systems, but it's not black and white. It's not like you're just using your aerobic system at one point and you're just using your anaerobic. There's a little bit of a gray area. Like you're always kind of going back and forth, and it's just like the education piece of this is a little bit. I just think there needs to be more education out there. So that's kind of what I'm trying to help
I love that you're
put out
doing
there.
it. And obviously the feedback you're getting is a testament to the fact that you're providing a service and you're giving education to people who, again, didn't know that there was another way. Just like we talked
Mm-hmm.
about that people don't know that there's another way. The same thing can be said for the keto community. We should be able to talk about things and not get so personally offended by
Right.
other people's dietary choices. And again, you don't know what you don't know. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, for sure. Well,
Right.
we could talk forever, I feel like.
I know. I use that phrase a lot with the kids too, because that's the thing. Like when they tell me, you know, well, let them be kids. I'm like, these kids don't know what, like, you just like you don't let your kid go use your rifles and let them figure it out with that, or let them figure it out with the razor blades. It's the same thing, you know, like they don't know, you know,
Yeah.
they just know dopamine and what feels good. They're very primal, and it's just, you know, but I
Yeah,
love
for
that phrase.
sure.
You don't know, you don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna like start saying that way more. Um, okay, so let's wrap up because I feel like I could talk forever and we could just go on about
Yeah, we could
all the things.
keep going here.
We're gonna have to record
Yep.
another episode and talk more
Yeah, for
about that.
sure.
So I do want to end with one question for you both. It's just kind of a fun question. So
Okay.
if you were stranded on an island and you could only bring one thing, and it can't be like a person, a thing, what would it be?
That's really easy.
What would you bring?
Music. Like somehow I need music.
Oh my gosh. I was thinking a machete.
I'm dying, but I'm dying happy. Like with my music.
With the machete, I can make,
That's true,
I can make us
I didn't think
shelter.
of survival.
I can hunt.
I was
And,
thinking of entertainment.
somehow probably could help me with the fire starting stuff,
That's true. A machete's really smart.
So can you
I
say
wasn't
something else?
thinking-
Because I
Yeah,
want
yeah,
us
I
to
was
be a good
thinking-
team. I'm bringing the machete.
I was
What are you
thinking
gonna bring me?
differently. Okay, hold on. I
I'm
watch a
bringing
lot.
the machete, you bring the music.
Okay,
We can have a
you know
party.
what?
Bring a fire starter or
You know what?
something.
I watch a lot of Naked and Afraid. Let me think of this. Water's always an issue. So like I would probably bring like
A fire starter or a pot.
a pot. I would bring a pot. Because
Okay.
it's underestimated, but you could do a lot of stuff with a pot.
Yeah, boil water.
You could hit someone over the head with it.
Make a squirrel stew.
You can just defend yourself with that
Yeah.
thing. Like, yo, I will hit you over the head with this pot.
A pot and a machete. All right.
Yeah.
I'll take note of that. So is there anything that you have on the horizon, like anything cool coming up that you want to share?
Well, I
We have
am.
several things.
Yeah. So don't we? We have so many things. I personally am on March 1st, which is now or before now or after now.
Yeah, whenever you release this. You never know.
Sometime in the future.
We're so used to, like, our podcast being so ahead, so
I'm starting or I started the Carnivore Keto Cup myself.
I'll probably do that too.
That'd be
Not in
great.
March,
Yeah,
I'll do that.
because this year the transformation contest is going to be the best transformation contest I've ever had. The prize will involve travel and photo shoot and a bunch of cool stuff. So that's the biggest thing.
Ooh,
And
yeah, I
of
know what
course,
you're talking about.
what'd you say?
I'm like, oh yeah. I
She
like it.
knows. She knows what's up.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, obviously, Keto Muscle Intelligence, if you want to learn how to train on a ketogenic diet. And of course, the Keto Muscle Intelligence coaching platform will hopefully be live soon. So, yeah, those are the big things for me.
You know what? Follow me on TikTok. That's the biggest thing right
That's
now.
true.
Like, this is
Mara's
what I do
the
with my
biggest thing
life.
on TikTok.
When you drove up, what was I doing today?
She was
my neighbors
practicing-
probably think I'm insane. I'm like, I don't care.
Honestly, they're probably like, wow, I didn't even think of dancing for cardio. They're probably looking like at you like you're
I'm
doing
like
dancing
sweating
for
out there
cardio.
too.
Yeah, she goes out there, she films herself.
But I have to rehearse these dances. So
Yeah.
it's like, I'm like sweating out there.
That's awesome. Yeah, I haven't gotten on TikTok. I know I probably should. But
It's like for 12-year-olds. But Rachel, for business, I think you should consider it.
yeah, that's what I'm
I'll
told.
give
I'm
you
just
I'll
like,
give you tips.
yeah, I need some tips. It's just like another thing to do.
It is. It feels like that, but believe it or not, I guess it depends what you're gonna do on there. You have to definitely think of what you would do on there, because I've noticed at this point that you definitely need to have like a niche. Like you got to stick to what you're doing. Whether it's like some people have like just the funny pages, like it's just funny comedy. Some people are giving like like advice or whatever. So you got to stick to your niche. But for me, I'm like, basically it's so easy because I haven't posted. I have so many workout videos on Instagram that I've posted none of them on TikTok. So TikTok is mostly 15-second. You could post minute videos, but I do 15 seconds. And I'm literally just posting, a lot of my content that's already on Instagram, like 1 or 2 exercises. And then I always lead back to my Instagram. So, full workout on Instagram. And the way that TikTok is set up, it's just really easy for people to just follow. And yeah, it's pretty crazy.
All right,
It's
I need
fun.
to
I
It's
mean,
pretty fun.
If you see me on there, you'll
And
just
there's
see
like no
burpee videos.
algorithms or any. There's no crazy algorithms either. So you could like just have like a video can go viral for no reason, just
Yeah.
because you never know. Like it's like hit or miss. You never know. It's like kind of like it's probably not good for our brains, like to be like, but
Well, I can't
it's
dance
fun to watch.
for shit, so I'm not going to be doing that.
Or you could do that and it's funny.
Oh yeah, if you could just make fun of me, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
No. If for you, I would definitely like think of like doing like little like like short bits of like just content. Like
Mhm.
why to try a carnivore diet? Boom, boom, boom. Like it's 15 seconds. With music or whatever. It's just and the editing software on there is like seamless. It's just I don't know. I really enjoy it.
Cool. All right, I'm going to definitely check it out.
You have to check it out.
TikTok. Sweet. All right. Well, can you tell us? I know you said Keto Muscle and Challenge. Tell us where listeners can find you guys.
DannyVega.ms on Instagram and on Facebook if you just look for Danny Vega. And of course,
and on TikTok.
And on TikTok. How can I forget? This morning I did a video, and see, this is why I
did
don't.
Did this one go crazy or no?
Oh, I haven't even looked, but okay. I made one showing what my coffee was, and I was just like,
he was so
frustrated because I didn't find the right song, and then like, the words and all this, but and then fatfuel.family is our website. That's where our podcast is and everything.
Yeah. If you go to our website too, you can find like our products. We also have like basically a merch store. It's not really, we don't make anything off of it. It's just really fun. So I know we talked a lot about the kids stuff.
Oh yeah.
We have our kids menu shirts, which are, it's just like
I love those.
A good conversation starter, So it's really just for putting that message out there. So you could find that on our website. For me, I'm Fat Fueled Mom pretty much on all platforms. Mostly Instagram is my main page. Everything gets posted to Facebook and now TikTok. Yeah. Anything else? I have all my programs on our website too. So we've got workout programs.
Yeah. Honestly, like the programs, like I do pretty well, and I'm the strength and conditioning coach, but my wife outsells me because the last couple of weeks, yeah, she's been crushing it with the bodybuilding bundle because women want to get their booties right. And I guess.
And I put it on sale. That's why.
Yeah, she did, but still.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and I'm sure you guys will be back on again because we have
absolutely
so much
we
more
love
to
you,
talk
Rachel.
about.
We're so happy for you.
Yay!
Thank
I love
you.
it.
Thanks. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.